people that really lean into themselves, like really don't try to put other things on a pedestal, other people, other opinions, just get really comfortable of the purest form of them.
Yeah.
Man, do they have impact, because that's the uniqueness. The way you say things, the analogies, the stories, it all plays out. It all plays out.
Do you think people's attention spans are getting shorter?
No, I really don't. I think that they have optionality on short form consumption that didn't exist prior.
Yeah.
But I think, in fact, I'll argue the counter. I think people are binge watching 8 hours of a Netflix.
True. Or way more than 8 hours.
YouTube show, like some of my vlogs or other people's can run very long.
Yeah.
No, I actually think we have more optionality. But like, I'll give you an example. The Saturday morning comics used to crush in print.
Yes.
And nobody like overemphasized, like, are we getting attention shortage when people would like rip through those in 4 seconds, like Garfield or Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
I think we are concerned about social because it's such a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And we've become obsessed with looking at the negatives of it versus the positives. And I think that becomes one of the subconscious byproducts of us being like, everyone's attention spans are shorter. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'll give you another one. In New York back in the day, there used to be 10:10 a.m. There was like 10:10 wins. We'll give you and it was all short form.
Yeah.
They gave you the news in 2 seconds, or sports radio would have like a 1 minute sports flash.
Yeah, you go on a morning show, you have 2 minutes to explain a book, but you go on a podcast, you might have 3 hours.
Yeah, I actually think distribution has allowed for the contrary. It has given merit to both short and long in a way that traditional media consumption for 70 years, which became our framework of how we analyzed short and long attention. So that would be my answer to that.
Yeah, although I also feel like on the creator side, people are not as, like, it is hard to make something compelling that's 10 seconds or a minute. Like, people are not creators. You know, someone might work on a book for 7 years and it's this many pages. The ability to effectively and concisely communicate a big idea is a skill that not enough people have.
Correct. And not every format is conducive to that. To your point, like, people can convey an incredible moment of escapism in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You can have a really fun joke or
absurdity,
really cool, or a trick, or, you know, like, and that's beautiful. That's like, that maps a lot of things that happen. It was what was cool about real life. Like, somebody would have a joke in the lunchroom in 6th grade, and that was an incredibly well executed 7 seconds.
Yeah.
We're seeing the creation format of that out in the public because there was no formats for that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even Tracy Ullman would have those little breaks called the Simpson cartoons, which, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, they were short skits and it became something iconic. So I think, to your point, I think there's a lot of ways to provide value in very short skits and short moments, but it is not profound philosophical ideas that clearly take time to think through.
Yeah.
And,
although
you know,
people think I think the audience side, you think it's easy because it's short or
correct.
It's concise, but it's hard.
Correct. As a matter of fact, much to what I was talking about with day trading attention, especially for the people that are listening that are in professional marketing, not creators or whatever, they disrespect not only because it's short, they disrespect production value.
Okay.
I would argue that all of Fortune 500 marketing is losing right now because they put production value on a pedestal. So they feel that a video made by an iPhone that is mundane, that doesn't have the lighting and is not good. Meanwhile, the audience has spoken with their actions. Humans like it. Yeah. Just like Hollywood didn't think reality TV was good. Yeah. And then the market spoke. Yeah. And now it's a very meaningful genre that used to not exist. I think a lot of the things I think about when I think about attention, or even the concept of the kids' book, like finding the middle. Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with people's inability to understand that their subjective opinions are borderline audacious and often delusional, meaning most people walk around making decisions based on a focus group of one. Mm-hmm. I sit in unlimited boardrooms constantly where they're like, well, I don't like that. I'm like, well, good news. We're not selling to you. Yeah. You're selling to 19-year-olds. You're a 67-year-old. You're selling to women. You're a male. We're selling to people who need this. You don't need this. Why would your subjective opinion of one be a good marketing strategy and a good distribution strategy and a good media strategy and good creative strategy? Now, if you're a remarkable marketer or decision maker, you become an empty vessel. and you try to take, like, I believe one of the things that has worked for me is I don't think my opinion counts. I think I have to make subjective opinions all the time, but I never believe I'm right. I believe that I'm forced into it at times. I have to decide what wines I'm going to put on my wine show.
Yeah.
I have to decide what I'm going to write about, but I don't think it's right. And I think a lot of people really do live in a borderline delusional, audacious state and make a lot of bad business, marketing, and life decisions within that framework.
Well, that's the mindset in pretty much all internet comments. They'll be like, who needs this video summarizing this thing? And it's like, not you, but like lots of people. Like I get this all the time because I write books that popularize and explain ancient philosophy. And so people will go, well, just read the originals. Why would someone need a book that explains these things? And it's like, I don't know why, but they do.
I know why.
Right.
I know why.
Because
Because context matters.
Yes.
That's very nice, Johnny74, who left the Ryan Holiday comment. Let me give you the answer. If you read the original, half the words don't exist anymore. How about that part? How about the English language and slang have evolved? How, like,
not everyone went to the same Ivy League school as you. Not everyone was steeped in the same things as you.
Ryan, my entire creator career was predicated on that. I was one of the first individuals in the history of wine ever that decided to take wine off of its pedestal.
Yeah.
I loved wine so much that I wanted my friends to like it.
Sure.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Because it was stoogey and douchey and fucking elitist. And when I referred to a wine, like, if you imagine if the Iron Sheik took off his weird boot and you smelled it, well, that was going to resonate for people that grew up in the 80s and liked wrestling in a way of like deep cassis with terroir from the, that's not going to work for everyone, to your point.
Yes.
Why is it needed? Because interpretations or DJing or whatever you want to call it is actually how if that was the case, we should all stop because it's always been talked about.
Yes.
That's insanity.
No, there's this. Different people are at different places in their journey and want different things. And there's this kind of narcissism of like, well, the way I get it straight from the source. Like what I realize is, hey, I wake up every day and I'm fascinated by ancient philosophy and I understand how it can apply to my life. And then I look around and I would try to talk to other people about it and be like, what does this have to do with me? Right? Like you realize people don't share the same assumptions as you.
That's right.
And that's where middlemen or popularizers or translators or influencers or explainers come in. And it's an important role.
I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like movies all that much. And I used to watch Siskel and Ebert when I would find them on the dial, predominantly because I loved their banter and interpretation of, I literally had no interest, had no interest in seeing any of the movies. Mm-hmm. But I've always been drawn to the explainer. It's, you know, it's funny. It's my language. I mean, I live with unlimited acronyms and analogies because I've always like felt like it was a way to convey.
Yeah.
And I find my career in that. With wine, it was explaining a complicated thing that intimidates people.
Yeah.
And then I went into the business world and have stayed in the forefront of new things that are happening in business and try to break them down in a manner that provides people value or give them an aha, because I genuinely think that those things could be beneficial to them. However, I literally don't expect anyone to give a shit about modern marketing.
Yeah.
I don't expect anyone to care about the nuances of wine. I understand why no one cares about sports or garage sales or trading cards or blockchain or the thought that what I think is good means that it's good. That is a framework that I am fascinated that people don't understand. That is crazy talk.
Well, people shit on influencers. And look, there's a kind of influencer that's kind of, you know, doesn't add much value in the world, you know,
But again, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, like, but maybe they're attractive. And modeling has always added value.
Of course.
And maybe they're silly. And humor, I think you could take it to the full extreme, and I'm still going to say that if 1 million people are consuming someone, I don't give a shit if they're eating straws. The market has spoken, and you can go to the most frivolous. And I would say a attractive person that has nothing to say provides value because people like looking at attractive people. That's someone who's goofy. Well, guess what? The world's complicated and hard. Sometimes it's just funny to laugh at something.
Of course.
It's escapism at scale.
Well, I was just thinking even during the pandemic, like you would think that scientists would be able to explain what's happening well, but they weren't. And so all these people got really good at going like, let me translate this thing you don't understand into what you should actually do with it, because they understood most people are busy and confused and overwhelmed, and they want it digested down into something they can
Oh, by
do
the
with
way,
it.
also in a medium that they consume.
Yes.
They did that on TikTok.
They're not
I'm
getting
very
research
happy.
papers.
That's right. I'm very happy you published this in a I don't even know the name of a single science. Like, I don't know. The Harvard, I don't know. MIT, like, I've heard some things in my life, but as someone who failed every science class, it's not going to be where I'm going to win.
Right. And even if I did read it, I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know what it means.
Especially someone like me who's clearly learned that his reading comprehension was one of the reasons he wasn't good at school. That has
Right.
become apparent to me in the last decade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
It's, how many, it was a fun aha, by the way. How many times did I get a long email from someone in my company where I would reply 5-minute meeting?
Yeah.
And what I realized was, wow, I am remarkable in audio
Yeah.
and I am atrocious in written word. And that's what has been my framework.
Well, that is a huge thing, right? So people have the thing that they like, right? You like music, you like books, you like whatever. And then realizing that not everyone is in that medium. And so spending time, like, to me, what the market for attention is, what I think about is, like, I love books. I write books. That's my medium. That's what I wish everyone consumed all the time. But they don't. Some people like audiobooks. Some people like podcasts. Some people like short form videos. Some people like blog articles. There's all this stuff. And you as a creator have to figure out how to reach those people, to translate what you do into all those different mediums.
My favorite question that I would get 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when I was on book 4 or 5, and I was the new technology guy or the new medium guy or the pushing the envelope guy or the innovation guy. You'd always get like the third person in line be like, all right, Gary, good stuff. Like, that person that's looking for the Raz. All right, tell me this, Mr. The world is changing. So why do you write this book? Like, why are you even writing books? And I would be like, because people read them.
Yeah.
Like, just because attention might be moving somewhere doesn't mean the old medium is gone. The question becomes, are you capable of producing within that environment? And number 2, what's the juice worth what squeeze? Yeah. So for example, if you love writing books, just because it might not be commercially successful, or you might make enough money given your time, that doesn't mean that the juice is not worth the squeeze. You might be doing, like, when I write this book, I don't necessarily write it to, this is going to be the best use of my time for money. This will never compete with me giving a 1-hour speech for the ludicrous amount of money that I get for it. However, I get incredible enjoyment as a human being of getting, and I'm sure, you must get this at scale. I get an enormous amount of emails every single day of my life, every day of my life, that says, hey, I read Jab, 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 Right Hook. This is a book that I wrote 10 years ago. Yeah. That is basically day trading attention. This was originally called Jab, 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 Left Hook.
Yeah.
I just told you in your store, I write books for 2-3 year windows more than like forever. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. And they're like, I got this marketing gig because, like, I know that a lot of people learn in book form in a much more profound way than they do in short form social media content. And so I want to put a manifesto down. This one was really, I don't know if you skimmed or read or what. Yeah. So like this one was a little nerdy for me. I went fucking detailed.
There's like diagrams.
Yeah, there's like charts and shit. Like I kind of went like this could be curriculum, college course stuff. Even when I read it for the audiobook, I was like, in parts of it, I'm like, I'm a little bored by this because I read it, but I know who I wrote it for.
Yes.
And so for this book, it's actually a lot of people listening to this podcast, knowing how epic your audience is. They may not love me in Instagram, but this book, if they're like, what's cool about if you're trading for attention is it doesn't have to be commercial. Yeah. This is not a capitalist book. This is a life book. Yeah. You might be trying to raise $10,000 for your PTA. Yeah. You might be running for mayor in your small town. You might have a family business that your mother just retired and you're like, wait a minute, what do I do with, like, having attention and saying something to make something happen is for everyone. Yeah. And that's how I wrote it.
Well, what I took from you, and I think it was what you're saying, is you kind of become platform agnostic. You're very intent on the message. What is it that I'm having to say? And then just as like I publish a book and then it gets translated in 30, 40 languages. I don't think in Spanish. I don't care that much about, Mandarin. I don't think about that, but that's the process by which this one singular thing gets broken down so it can reach all these other people. And I think that's how I think about social media and audiobooks and podcasts. It's like I have this thing that I'm trying to say and I'm trying to communicate. And then I want it to break out and go to all the different people.
Not only do I think over the last 15 years, when I analyze it, detached from my own self that what has worked for me is being platform agnostic.
Yeah.
But I've also been contextual to the platform medium agnostic, meaning I didn't want to make short form videos.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when YouTube came out, I was one of the first humans on earth to do long form video. One of the reasons I got flown out to Google and Yahoo Video, and before Google even bought YouTube, and Vidler and all these companies, Ustream, which was the precursor to Twitch, was I was doing long form when everything was pirated IP. Early YouTube was Family Guy clips.
You were on Rever, am I remembering that one? What was that one?
Not Vidler?
There was like one that was going to be like YouTube, but you got paid for your videos.
Oh no, I never did that. I'm trying to remember what that was. But yeah,
they
the point that I'm making is like written word.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I didn't blog, if you look at my career on the internet from 96 to today, which is now, a chunky little time, we're getting there. E-commerce early, email early, search early, YouTube, social, all of it. Not blogging because I couldn't write. I started to blog after I was being transcribed from audio, from video. Got it?
Yeah.
So look, I think this is where I'm going with this, which is you have to be self-aware of what you're capable of.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I couldn't wait to blog and write, but I just didn't have that skill. And once even you know how crazy these books are? I audio them.
Wow.
Almost every book I've ever written. Let me phrase. Every book I've ever written. Actually, Stephanie Land, my favorite ghostwriter who I worked with for years, lives in Austin, Texas, by the way. Wow. Big shout out, Stephanie. Thank you so much. If you need a ghostwriter, Stephanie Land, Google her. She was my ghostwriter for the first year. They were wild sessions. I would literally write the book and, I can talk.
Yeah.
I fucking talked out books.
Yeah.
And,
sure.
And now I've put out so much content. Ragav, who works with me on my books now, who's on my team, it's all already written.
Yeah.
And then I post and clean up and tighten up and create a framework and all that. But it's fascinating. And I think for everyone who's listening, not only are you platform agnostic, when I was yelling 4 years ago about TikTok, all the Instagram people didn't want to go because they didn't want to start over.
Right.
Ryan, they didn't want to start over.
Yeah.
I got 1 million followers here. And they don't understand. Attention doesn't care where you have your audience. Yeah. I won email in 1997. I had 90% open rates. 90. Email. I know your career.
It doesn't happen anymore. Yeah.
I'm not happy that it's 30%.
Yeah.
But the world changed. And so I promise you, tomorrow, I saw Elon tweeted, should we bring Vine back? He's going to bring Vine back.
Yeah.
Because first of all, Vine started this whole thing.
Yeah, that's one of the big misses in the history of big tech companies that Vine is.
Well, they
first.
sold.
Yeah.
They sold.
No, I mean Twitter buying it and then effectively killing it.
Well, by the way, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening in CPG at scale right now. Unilever buys Dollar Shave Club, doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
M&A has a great history of buying and not letting the organ fit the body.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they don't give the people that are building it the autonomy.
Yeah.
They try to incorporate it into.
Right. And then it becomes a line item on their budget and then they kill it. Yeah.
Corporate life. Anyway, platform agnostic. To your point, I'm obsessed with the message.
Yeah.
In what form, how, what slang, where, could give a fuck. To me, it is the message and then respect of the audience and mediums.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people disrespect audience and mediums.
Although you said something to me once that sort of shaped how I do stuff. You said you were like, I basically say 7 things. You're like, I have 7 things. And I just say that thing over and over and over again.
Those are my principles.
And I think about that because as a creator, you can get self-conscious. Am I repeating myself?
Yeah.
Is this new? And first off, it assumes people are paying way closer attention than you are. It also assumes that there's not something new to say about one of those 7 things.
Correct.
And that when you say it in a new context or in response to a new thing, that's not creating a new message. But when people hear oh, you do 100 pieces of content a day or 200, whatever that is, they're thinking that's 100 original things. No, if you go 7 things times however many networks or platforms there are, that's 7 things.
I think one thing I'm excited about with day trading attention is I hope people realize, almost everyone who's listening here, who's ambitious and going at this, businesses or humans, are going to realize after they read this, oh shit, why am I not on Facebook? Or, oh, fuck, I'm crushed. I got TikTok and Instagram Reels. Yeah, why am I not doing YouTube Shorts?
Yeah.
The incremental slight tweak to be on those platforms as well with a slight copy or editing adjustment that respects the room of YouTube Shorts being different than TikTok is one of the explosive things for the A players. Like this book for me was like a 201 or a 301. Like what I'm excited about this one is like if you've never been in the game, it will help. But for people that are like you, like real players, the reason I went so deep is like, I'm like, hey, let me take that next step in book form so that even the best people in the world that are winning, seemingly winning, Charlie D'Amelio, Logan Paul, like Mr. B, like, let me give them 3 to 4 things that, because I have the luxury of not only being one of those people, but I also have VaynerX, a 2,000 person global marketing agency. We spend billions of dollars in media on behalf of clients, make quadrillions of pieces of creative across all platforms. So I'm sitting at the epicenter, you know, of really looking at quant and qual data that makes it very clear of what can and can't be done. And one of the biggest expansions is, to your point, the biggest mistake creators make is they talk about things they don't believe in because they think they need something new to say. And what I think is, look, I believe in things. I get pumped when I change my mind. That gives a whole new genre. But why would I compromise my belief system? I just find new analogies, new context points, new mediums, new platforms, and I always layer current events into it. AI allows me to talk all over again of what I talked about with social media. The analogies I made on social media stages in 2006 of everybody putting their head in the sand and hoping social media wasn't going to happen. Well, guess what? It's back. It's called AI. By the way, I'll go into the camera here. Like, your AI strategy cannot be, you will get fucking destroyed by that tidal wave. You better find a surfboard and ride it, because AI doesn't give a shit that you're scared of it. It's just going to happen.
Well, I think where you get yourself in trouble as a creator is if you think you got to wake up and have a hot take every day on something that you just heard about 8 seconds ago. No, your message should be timeless. And then you should be saying it in a timely way.
It's funny. That's what we were just talking about. When you just said that, I was like, oh, right. The way I do social and the way I navigate is the combination of both of those styles of books that we both have. You write timeless and forever, which is actually my core message. I have 7 to 10, whatever it is. And then I am very like day trading, but like that's how I write books. I like my books to be tight windows of like, here's the opportunity. And both matter. But the interpretation of classic, back to the starting point of this podcast, is the game.
And what's funny too is when you're making stuff, you're also creating a library of content that, like today, the Daily Stoic YouTube channel will do more views than it would have done in a month several years ago on stuff that is old,
Just
right?
Scale.
Like entertainment studios are libraries. They're making new stuff always. And some of those things are going to be hits in the present moment. But really what they're trying to do is find the thing that will be a perennial timeless hit. And then you have this library, just in the way that you would have an investment portfolio of things that are paying, increasing a few percentage every year. That's what you're trying to build. I'll put out a video today. I hope it will do well. But like my best performing video will do 100,000 views today, but I made it 10 years ago.
That's right. That's right. Not to mention YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. And that has a lot to do with that. By the way, literally as I walked in here, Meta just launched their AI update into Instagram and WhatsApp. I was just looking at it right before I walked in. Search is changing right in front of our eyes.
How so?
Well, I mean, I literally just watched Zuck's 2-minute video on Instagram, so I haven't even played with it yet. But what is very clear to me is, holy shit, like one of the biggest changes in our society, and we've known this with ChatGPT, but like it's very clear of it coming to social. What I saw in the preview there, or at least how he talked about it, and what I'm definitely going to be looking at on my flight tonight in detail from Austin back to New York is, oh shit, Instagram search is fucking remarkable, and it's very visual, and the results are really strong. And like, this is going to, just like TikTok has been growing very rapidly as a search engine amongst Gen Z, the size and scale that Meta plays at with Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. Like, it's just very clear that the search engine is something they're pushing very hard within it. And the dynamics that we've seen on YouTube play out to what you just described is about to come to a short form social media world.
One of the things I think about is like, how can I get multiple uses out of one singular thing? So you and I are having a conversation. That's a podcast episode, right? This will be a clip. So this clip is a TikTok. It's an Instagram reel. It's a Twitter video. It's a Facebook video. You can do short form videos on LinkedIn. And then I'm going to take a combination of those clips and put them together in an Instagram, in a YouTube video,
That's right.
I'm going to tack an intro on there and be like 10 times I've talked about this topic. And so people
soon you're going to put it into an AI model and it's going to write a profound article.
Yes.
Or book.
Sure.
I mean, I put this about 7 years ago, 10 years ago. I know a lot of people are going to hit me up about this because another thing I get hit up a lot about. I put out a free deck. It was like 84 pages, and it did that. It was the content pyramid.
Yeah.
I was like, here's why I do daily V and podcasts.
Yes.
Because it becomes here's how I take this and make 84 pieces of content.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, when I tell you, every time I'm in an airport, a 27-year-old kid, guy or gal comes up to me and says, that's how I built my social media agency, that deck, which I put up for free.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I've been thinking the whole time.
Yeah.
And now the library, to your point, the intellectual property of human, just like Marvel and Disney, just like why I do VFriends, to build another library of IP, is a moat. It's a major, 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 major moat of opportunity within impact and business.
And the main thing, at the top of that pyramid is you have to have something unique and interesting to say.
Or it may not be unique, or it might not be the most unique, but it is profoundly your thing to say.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of things are universal.
Well, you plus a thing becomes a unique thing. Yes.
That part. That's why I wanted to jump in and say
Yes.
that. I want everyone to hear this. Your interpretation, your slang, your framework. People are like, Gary, what about authenticity? I'm like, the most authentic thing in the world is the human being. Mm-hmm. Truly snowflake. None of us are the same.
Never again.
Twins, even twins, wired super differently inside.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
I believe that's people walk away from their essence.
Yeah.
And I want them, I think you would, I mean, I know you well enough to say this, and it's one of the biggest compliments I can give you. It has definitely worked for me, and I admire it whenever I see it. The people that really lean into themselves, like really don't try to put other things on a pedestal, other people, other opinions, just get really comfortable of the purest form of them.
Yeah.
Man, do they have impact, because that's where the uniqueness, that's the uniqueness. Like the way you say things, like the analogies, the stories, the interpretations, the subtle observations that are slightly tweaked contextual to the moment. And that as a human, and that as an operator, and that as a parent, and as an executive, and that as an entrepreneur, and then as an author and a content creator, it all plays out. It all plays out.
Yeah, no one has ever been like you before. No one will ever be like you again. You have unique experiences, unique DNA. All that's totally unique. So why would you like copy other people? Why would you try to be like someone else? You should be you. That's your monopoly.
I believe this is why I talk about patience so much. I think one of the reasons people do it is they want to get there faster.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary Vee did it. I'm going to be like him. I'm going to be crazy and loud and okay, cool. Like if you're a Jersey kid from the 80s, cool. You can probably get like we make, but if you're an introvert from the South, like, and you've never cursed in your life, please don't make videos where you're cursing. It's going to feel awkward. Just like if I'm just like why I was a little bored in reading my own book, because like, academia is a little bit like, I can glaze over, but I know why I wrote it, And so, man, it's because people lack patience, Rye.
Yeah.
Rye, when you were behind the scenes with Ferris and all that other stuff, when I was in my daddy's liquor store, all those years, I didn't make a piece of business content until I was 34 years old.
Wow. Yeah, people go, it's too late for me.
Yeah, I got 20. Yeah, dude, I did not make one single piece of business content in a world that was different. So, by the way, one of the biggest theses of day trading attention is social change 3 years ago. We now live in the TikTokification era. Social media for the first 10 years was email marketing. Get as many followers as you can. And then a percentage of those people will see your content.
Yeah, your number of followers and the views something get
had a direct correlation, just like email.
Yeah.
If you have 10 million people on an email list, and you had 10% open rates, 1 million saw it.
Yeah.
Same with social forever.
Yes.
Twitter, Facebook. It would tweak, but and once in a while some shit would happen, but that was it.
Now it's all algorithm.
All algorithm. Interest. Yeah. It's why I thought Tumblr was going to be the biggest social network when I invested in it.
Yeah.
It was interest-based, not social-based. Even in 2007, I kind of had instincts to who you follow, challenging game, because your friends in high school versus college versus middle school versus family life, then you have kids and your friends don't, new parent friends, that evolves.
Yeah.
Interests, you could pick up new interests along the way.
Yeah.
But there's some things that will always be with you. Sports and wine for me, and there'll be new things. But even when you get new things, the algo will figure that out. So the interest graph was, the reason I was so hot on Musical.ly was it was the first time I saw the interest graph again since Tumblr.
Yeah.
And that is now evolved, and now it's now eating up everything, and it will, because that's how entertainment and all these books, and it's how we make choices. Yeah. We make them based on relevance, and how it, like, that's when you buy something. That's how you get excited about something.
So Patience Pig is this one, but talk to me about Stoic Slime.
Oh, yes. We've got to talk about Stoic Slime. But yes, and I promise you I will write a Meet Me in the Middle with Stoic. The problem with Stoic Slime is Stoic Slime and Balanced Beetle are the two V-friends that are most your, like, that's your world. And it's funny. It was funny when I was doing this book. At some point, I was like, "Oh, wait till Ryan sees this." Literally, meet me in the middle, right? Patient pig and eager eagle, right? Patience and being eager.
Yeah.
The point of this book, and I'm so excited to be going into kids' book land, because the truth is, I've really felt the impacts of getting to kids 15 to 25, especially now that I've been doing it for so long. It's fun to find that 40-year-old that's been watching you since they were 25, and you talk to them and you listen to the impacts, and you get so humbled. And now I'm like getting a little greedy. I'm like, okay, let's go younger. Like, to me, patience. Yeah. Do you know that I believe most alpha winners that hear me talk about patience, that it's one of the things that they like me, I'm gonna go get all that, but they don't like when I go patience because they interpret it as complacency.
Yeah.
But there's a reason there's two words in the dictionary. Patience is not complacency.
Yeah.
Eagerness, I love, ambition, but this book is basically telling kids and parents, by the way, that in America, we've become way too red and way too blue.
Yeah.
And the magic is purple.
Sure.
By the way, that's why this was purple. I'm like all about purple now.
Do you know Aristotle's golden mean? Mm-mm. All right. So many, many centuries ago, Aristotle said that most virtues are a midpoint between two vices. Yep. So courage, the opposite of courage is not cowardice. There's recklessness and cowardice, and courage is in the middle. For the Stoics, the virtue of temperance or self-discipline would be between eagerness and patience, right? Like it's in the middle there.
Love you. And so I'm using these V-friends to show being eager and hungry, amazing. Being patient, amazing. What I do in here is I go, too much patience becomes complacency.
Yeah.
Too much eagerness becomes sloppy.
Yes.
And how these two V-friends, it's fun, come together, and I think it's cool. It's a middle book for kids, so you can read it from both sides. Yeah. So 2 nights out of the week, you can get them on both. And I'm so darn excited about this because I love both audiences in a parent and kid world.
Yeah.
So the cartoons I have coming out for V-Friends on YouTube Kids this summer, the books, the master plan I have for the next 50 years of V-Friends, my audience is going to be both.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of things, Coco Melon is driving parents crazy, but crushing for little kids. I'm hoping to be, like, I'm excited. I can't wait to get the first DM or
Bluey,
email.
Kids and parents like Bluey.
By the way, it's one of the reasons the Bluey founder flew out from Australia, and we had a meeting in New York, and he was giving me some nice flowers about some of the stuff I did around TikTok and how it helped blow up Bluey. And I was like, fuck, I got to do that for myself, for V-Friends.
Wow.
It was profound.
Yeah.
Bluey does that. Correct. Yeah. And that's what V-Friends is going to do as well. Like, I want it for both. And this is like kind of my first like real foray into it. I'm excited to get the first email this summer from someone who's like, hey, got the book because I'm a fan of you, read it for my 4-year-old. Got to be honest with you, the patient pig thing really hit.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I'm going to be on a plane, and I could see my face in the screen on a plane already grinning, because that is a little bit of my secret plan. But that's absolutely right. The whole concept of meeting me in the middle.
Because people think Stoicism has no emotions. No, there's has no emotions, and then there's a slave to your emotions. Stoic is in the middle between those two. You have it, and you choose which ones you utilize or don't utilize, but you're not overpowered by
Do you know
them.
we're talking about the biggest pandemic in parenting right now? A lot of parents right now that are listening have an opposite view of their co-parent, right? Their wife or husband thinks something, they think the opposite.
Yes.
One parent takes the lead on something and goes over here.
Yeah.
The other parent that has a different view, to get their kid in the middle, they think they have to go here.
Yes.
But they have to
You're too soft on him. You're too hard on him.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so the answer actually is to go here.
Yes.
But that is like the opposite of what most people do.
Yes.
So I fully understand. It makes so much sense, and I think about it daily.
Yeah. You should, if like your instinct is to be hard, you're probably actually already being too hard on them. So you should actively go easier. And if you're like overprotective, you should be like, hey, I'm going to really push them.
Correct. But what ends up happening in a parenting environment, why do co-CEOs not work?
Yeah.
Parenting is hard.
Yeah.
So you have one parent that is third generation wealthy,
and
their framework's different than the person they married who's was born in Mexico and is an immigrant.
Yeah.
They're going to have different PSVs on their kids, of course. Sure. But again, when the first parent moves on whatever, the other parent that's on the other side of the pillow tends to go too far. This is what happened. By the way, this is politics right now in America.
Of course.
It's everyone's much more a shade of purple, but we keep pushing each other because of these moves, because everyone's actually trying to get to purple, but what they're doing is extremely making red and blue get more red and blue.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about this, and I'm very hungry as a person that loves to communicate and make content and hopes that, every day I hope one of my purple, which is the predominant message I put out, disguised in business and other things, that it really has that ultimate viral moment that makes everyone that's too far left or right on anything, parenting, business, politics, go, that's right.
Well, it's funny, like, parents are like super concerned about how much screen time their kids have, right? And so you all want your kids to do stuff in the real world. So like one of the strategies we came up with is like, hey, you love watching YouTube videos. We're going to choose to watch videos about places. Then you're going to get excited to go to those places. Then we're going to go to those places. So instead of banning them from the thing, which makes them want to do it more, you think, how do I take this thing you have interest in and use it as a bridge to go to this other place that I want you to go?
Watching parents today who are of the era where parents demonized alcohol.
Yeah.
Which then only led to kids loving to drink alcohol. And then kids going through college experiences where they saw someone who never drank alcohol because it was demonized completely get wasted on their first week of college. Watching that generation of parents not realizing that with social media and screen times, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's brilliant. Good for you. And the other thing I would say to parents is like, you're the parent. Yeah. Like, if you think TikTok is a good one because I talk about it in marketing a lot of times. The most extreme parents are like, China or bad or whatever. I'm like, why are you yelling at me? I'm talking about TikTok about business. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't like TikTok for your kid? You're their parent. Delete it off their phone. Yeah. Oh, we can't do that. The peer pressure at school. I'm like, oh, you're a puss parent? I understand now.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at me. I'm talking about marketing and selling flowers on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, you have a problem with anything? Address it.
Yes.
My favorite V-Friend actually was going to be the first book, but I got to this. The V-Friend that I most want to make popular is Accountable Aunt. We have become remarkable at pointing fingers.
Sure.
Biden's the worst, Trump's the worst, Republicans, Democrats, America, China, my spouse, mom fucked me up, dad fucked me up, my boss is a dick, we are, what about this, brother? The thumb, Ryan, the thumb doesn't exist anymore. Do you know why I'm so happy? I stay in thumb. I spend an ungodly amount of time in an enjoyable way. This is the interesting part of like, what could I have done better? I fucked that up. Damn, I shouldn't have done. I could have. And some people when they hear me say things like that, they're like, doesn't that get depressing? I'm like, no, I'm in control. When you think everyone's in control, but you're finished.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk about this. It's like, it's called self-discipline for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Discipline is this mythical thing that you think you get to enforce on other people. No, discipline, it's here, right? Like you can hold yourself to high standards, and then you can hope other people come up to this. It's not this weapon you wield against other people. Man, does it have a ripple effect?
It's so funny you say that. Somebody, this struck me. I was on a Asian tour speaking, and I was in Singapore, and it was like this kind of like VIP dinner afterwards. Yeah. It was the only one I did on that tour. And this young woman, she might have been 27. We got into one of those favorite dinners I have, 12 people, everyone gets deep. And she talks about how she resented her mom her whole life because she was one of the biggest judges in Singapore and she was never around.
Yeah.
And then she was young, 25, 27, 29. She goes, in the last 5 years, I realized my mom was showing me how to live versus telling me how to live. One of the profound things of self-discipline is it accomplishes the goal that most parents, coaches, managers, and leaders want. A lot of people want to deploy discipline on others by acting with self-discipline, by acting.
Yes.
It actually creates the osmosis on your circles that you're looking for.
Yes. And by the way, it's really the only part you control. I remember I was interviewing this Air Force general, and he was like, even me, he's like, I'm a general. He's like, I've probably given 2 direct orders in my entire, you fantasize like that CEO, they have like an iron grip, or that coach, they're it's all volunteer world out there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's only self-discipline.
Do you know the people that consume my content listen to my marketing habits better than my 2,000 employees?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Like people like always saying about like, oh, your kids. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm their dad.
Yeah.
I'm the only creator or person they're not going to listen to.
Yes.
They'll take some good stuff and it's
Yeah.
parenting, but like they're not putting Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Like I'm not Gary Vee to that. Like I do that for my friends, and some of my friends are going to do that for my kids. That's just the way the game works.
Yeah, it's, you have to be about it more than you talk about it.
God, man, talk about life, man. That is it, man. And honestly, that's, by the way, just as a side note for all the people, there are a lot of people building marketing agencies and things of that nature. The reason VaynerMedia has become one of the largest independent global agencies in the world is I'm still a practitioner.
Yes.
The fact that I wrote the copy to my Instagram post walking into this bookstore today.
Yeah.
I wrote the copy.
Yeah.
Like I'm still in the dirt. And I think that a lot of people, here's one thing more universal than agencies. Friends, when you go from being the employee to being the manager within your company, everything changes. You know, and a lot of you think that all of a sudden everyone works for you, when in reality it's the reverse.
Yeah.
You start working for everyone.
Well, what I found too from my marketing agency, which doesn't really exist anymore, because I got tired of trying to tell other people what they should do. And I just said, I'm going to start making my own stuff. If I'm actually good at this, I want to market me and what I'm interested in and things that are like that I controlled, right?
Makes so much sense.
And so, yeah, like people think...
I just went to super scale.
Of course,
right?
of course.
But like you represented that era, and I always thought that. I remember hearing about you and others that were like doing it for bigger prominent figures, and I'm like, they're going to figure out that they should just... Because my belief was, even if you were not an electric video personality, that everybody, if they had chops, whether in written form, audio, or video, by the way, tons of people don't consume my content because it's too much.
Yeah.
So they prefer someone like you to be the messenger. That makes sense. There's a lot of people that stop listening to this podcast already because it's yours and I'm too much for them. Just like when you come on mine,
Sure.
it might not be dynamic enough to hit up that adrenaline for them. Sure. That's beautiful. That goes back to a thing we touched on here. Not every flavor for everyone about everything.
Yeah, just be you, do what you do, and
let the chips fall.
I love
but
that.
what I did, but to the broader point I was making there was, I was like, oh, these kids that are actually the practitioners, they're going to have their day.
Yeah.
Because once you don't know how, you are not as valuable. And as long as you know how, you are always valuable.
Yeah. This was awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.